Alright, I just completed the four-part review or editorial, whatever you want to call it, of Superman's Secret Identity. A book that I was very proud to read, very happy to read, and a book that I really have very, very, very few complaints. And I think the complaints is pretty much has been described in the four-part series. This is my overall feeling as to why I myself like it and will recommend it for those who want to see a different take on Superman, and why I really asked the question, and I asked for you guys out there who's watching this video to comment as well, as to, do you feel that Superman can still be Superman if somebody else was donned the S and the cape and the tights? And I think this one answered it pretty well, without really having to force the issue. And that was the one thing I actually liked the best. The story moved smoothly, where I think the main complaint that a lot of people have with the Man of Steel, and I'm bringing this up for a reason, is they try to force morale on people. They try to force values on people, where this one, it didn't do that. It let the character decide for itself. All the stuff that he has done, he came to that decision. No one forced him, nobody pressured him, nobody did anything of that. He seen the stuff that was going through, and although he was tempted to make big bucks, he chose to do what eventually became his calling, helping people, while at the same time keeping his identity as tight-lipped as possible. The sacrifices he made, I understood. I understood perfectly well why he would want to work to the government, besides the fact he's getting tired of them chasing him all around, but the fact also that he wasn't really the enemy, and he didn't want them to think he was the enemy, and he didn't want them to target anyone close to him. Again, this is a book that took a lot of risk. Okay, the book did not have a supervillain. Even with the Red Sun, when they flipped the script as Superman being a comrade of the USSR, it still had heroes, villains. The Green Lantern, he was facing a lot of people that had superpowers. There was none here. He basically did what he wanted to do, and that's help people, save people, make sure they was well taken care of. He even was referred to in the book as a Robin Hood, because he actually took medicine, and basically gave it to the poor, which was being left to starve and being left without any medical treatment. In fact, he designed it so that way those who was trying to get it back wouldn't, because they felt the gods didn't want them to go to that land. So he made a lot of decisions, a lot of decisions that tested his morals a lot in this book, especially with the military. Which Maloney told him that, yeah, you didn't like doing what we were doing. We was using you, but you went along anyway for the sake for yourself, your own safety, as well as your children, and he can respect that. Again, Maloney found out who he was, but he never revealed it to the military. He never kept any full records, and that says a lot about the character, who showed you that even though he was assigned to capture him, later work beside him, he have learned to respect him. And yet, in the book, they kept their distance. They didn't go too far. They knew the game. They knew what they were. They were formal. Their business, it was business only. What do you want? Well, here's the situation, and that's it. It wasn't to the very end, when he was retiring and he told him what he needed to say, that Superman, Clark Kent in this world have said, maybe I should have taken off of that tattoo after all, now that we aren't worried about that anymore. And I kind of wonder if he ever did, because years later it turns out that there was more than one superhuman. Some of them came from his family line, others probably was not been identified by the military. So those are the big things that has happened. I liked it how they set the book up. I really did. I think that the beginning, and I'm very big on origin story because I've seen too many of them. God knows with the Superman, I've seen enough to last a lifetime. But in this one, it made better sense, and I liked the fact that they actually really tell the storyline that is more grounded in reality. They didn't do over the top. I liked the fact that the relationship, the chemistry between Lois Chandler and Clark Kent later on became Mrs. Kent was sound. I really do believe they actually love each other. I did believe that they were supporting each other, and again, I was actually glad they didn't make Lois Lane a damsel in distress. They didn't do it in The Red Sun, but more than ever in this one, it really, really showed that, hey, this is a girl who's independent, who didn't need saving every time, and it worked it well in this book, very, very well. I know a lot of people is like, but that's what makes Lois Lane Lois Lane. Not necessarily. After a while, it becomes annoying. I think the second best Lois Lane, because I wasn't a big Margot Kidder fan in the Superman series. I'm being honest. I thought she was good at the time, but I never really jumped on the bandwagon. I thought she was obnoxious in many ways, and it's kind of interesting how as the series go on, especially with three, they barely use it at all, and four, she became just a character that was just there to fill time. But I never really felt that was the Lois Lane I felt. I actually liked the Lois and Clark Lois Lane a lot more better. But she actually fit a particular time that was mixed between the golden age of Lois Lane and the modern age that I actually can respect. Because she was a determined woman. She wanted to get things done. I didn't really felt that she actually didn't need Superman saving every 5 minutes. And that's the thing about this Lois Lane. I think this Lois Lane, she never was saved one time in this series. I mean, she flew with Superman. That's pretty much the tradition. But it was never a time where you ever once felt she was going to need saving, and that was the biggest thing that I actually liked. But keep in mind, their job profession was different. They wasn't working in no newspaper. They were working in a magazine. She became a designer later on. He became an author, and that was pretty much how that actually staved off. But I think the thing that really hits home with me is the fact is you had a different person. Yeah, granted, he had the same name, but this was a different person who used the Superman powers, and he used it not only wisely, but he was able to find that balance, as difficult that may be, to actually use his power but at the same time be a family man. And again, it stressed me more than anything else. And I think Superman's, in terms of his resume, have always, when he's him and Lois Lane was finally married, I think they kept that relationship very strong. It wasn't until they did the New 52, I think that's when I'm very mixed with the New 52, but before they did the New 52, I always felt that was the whole thing. They kept that relationship kind of strong. There were other characters they didn't do well in that scenario, and that's because the editors decided to make a bold move, which had pretty much backfired. Again, Spider-Man have not fully recovered from the decision of One More Day. There was another character, I believe, Red Arrow, and his daughter. I know somebody's going to come on the comment section, correct me on it. If you are welcome that, because I don't follow the Arrow's comic books as I should. But they killed off his youngest daughter, a young daughter, which led him to become a villain in that book, and nobody liked it. They considered it tasteless. And again, I asked myself the question, what was the purpose behind it? Well, I already know what was the purpose behind One More Day. I even know what was the purpose behind killing off Gwen Stacy. And to me, the argument I keep hearing back again is you can't have your characters age. And I think there's a lot of reasons for this. One is they are afraid that once that series ends, what else do they have? Because let's be honest, DC and even Marvel are pretty much, how can I say it nicely, they pretty much typecast as the characters you see now will be the characters that will carry them out to the next generation without any chance for new characters, unique characters to actually step on. And then this has actually been proven, because when they did try to put new characters, nobody really embraced it, and many people argue that they didn't do a good enough job of introducing these characters. They introduced these characters too fast, or the characters were simply a reminder of other characters that they like. So they're stuck. They're stuck with the characters they got now. Those are the characters you see. It's going to be the ones that's going to carry them through. And as a result, we're seeing a lot of things, a lot of bad decisions in terms of keeping these characters fresh and new, rebooting the characters, killing off certain characters, or making believe that their relationship with the character didn't exist. And as a result of that, older viewers and even newer viewers are just getting turned off by it. And they just don't want to deal with that, because to them, they don't show the respect that these superheroes and even villains to an extent should be. And it is very, very telling. So when I read this, it was a breath of fresh air, because it was a new take that I actually was looking for. I wanted to see how a different person who has the Superman powers use it, how they are shown it, and what they will do in terms of passing their powers along to the next generation. And it did it all in this short series. I kind of wish they kept it going, but actually this is a mini series. It's not meant to run long. But to me, I really wanted to know what his kids was gonna do, what his family gonna do, how did the league progress after that? Because it's very well written. This is a straight up, it's not action wise, but story driven graphic novel. You really get enticed of the story, and it didn't rely on any of the goofiness or any of the we need to bring a supervillain to make this story work. No, it told what it needed to tell. This is a guy who's living in the real world. Comic books are nothing but what they are, comic books. He has the name Clark Kent. He comes up with the powers, and they explain what his decision was from each issue that you have, and it really paid off. The only complaint I have, and I said this before, I say it again, is some of the art choices with the facial expressions can sometimes be a little off-putting. It's just a weird mixture that they have. Most of the time, it works fine, but there are other times, especially when they did the little infant kids, it's like, what's wrong with their faces? I mean, that's the only thing I've really have a problem. That's really been just the weakest part of this situation. Other than that, when the artwork is great, it's great. I love how they did the landscape. One of my favorite pictures, I'm going to show you one of my favorite pictures here. Where are you, my favorite picture? This here is my favorite picture. Right here. This 2-page spread. And the reason why you see his children, you see them flying, and they right above. I mentioned this before, and I'm gonna show you why. This is a beautiful. The ink work is fantastic. I'm actually trying to figure out if they have like a frame to this, because I really want to get that frame. It's a beautiful artwork, and like I said, when it comes to landscape, they do a magnificent job. I really do. I do believe that they nailed the landscape perfectly. They nailed it. I mean, there's no question they nailed it. I mean. But there are other times I'm looking at these pictures and I'm like, wow, let me show you the offsetting here. Here is, I don't know if you can see it properly. I tried to throw it off there. You see here, they don't look human a little bit from that side. That's the only knock I have here, is that their pictures, when it came to the expressions, it's sometimes, this is definitely one of them. Look at Laura's nose. It's right over here. You see it? I hope you killed it. Okay, look at Laura's nose. A little close up. It looks like she's a nose about to grow out of her head. I mean, it's never the same, and it's like, you know, one sitting. This is a for example. This would look pretty more normal here. Let me just make sure. Right here, this looks more normal than this picture right here. It really does. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can put that up there. But that was the problem I had. It's those little small details. Even with the kids, I mean, there are small details that really shows. I mean, there's one kid looks creepier than the other sometimes, and that's the thing about it. When it came to facial expressions, that was where I had a problem, because I'm like laughing at it, because I know they're trying. I know it's probably because of the ink. that they was using. I don't know what ink style they was using for this. It's a pretty good. It's a very good texture, but it's one of those things that really got to me when I was reading this. It didn't lower the grade any lower than what I already gave it, but it was one of those things. Is have they made the facial expression pretty much better, it probably would have got another bump in the points system in this situation. But like I said, that was one of the few things I had a problem with. But other than that, all the other stuff, all the artwork is fantastic. I mean, the landscape is fantastic. I think they got it down very, very well. When you felt like they actually drawn an actual landscape of Kansas, of New York. It really exploded in the scene, and I'm like, wow, I'm amazed at how they actually got this down. Somebody really took the time to do these artworks right here, in terms of the background. And the suit, I mean, it's nothing bad about it. It's the same Superman suit that we all gotten used to. It's not the newest ones that came out. It's the same typical one, and I actually gotten used to seeing it. So that it is. The story, I think, is the strongest point of this book. It's definitely the story. The action scene is spot on. I actually enjoy the action scene. Again, if I have any complaints, it's just that one, the facial detail. That's pretty much it. But what I like about this, and what I like about this book, is the fact is the theme was very, very strong. We saw an actual journey. I will also go and say, I'm going to be bold by saying this. I know a lot of Superman fans are going to say, no. We do not want this type of story. But let's just ask ourselves this one question. If the story was like this, if the story was like this book here, in the Man of Steel, would have been better or worse? If they take out the fact that they just taken the elements from here, not the whole entire book, but the element, would have been better or worse? It's doesn't hurt to ask. I'm not saying there's a right answer or a wrong answer. I'm just asking you guys, would it be better or worse? Especially those who have read this book, would it be better or worse? And that's the thing I want to bring that to the table as well, because there are many origin stories. And one of the major complaints I've seen from the Man of Steel, and I look on record, if you look at my review, I did a review on that. I liked it, the Man of Steel. I didn't think it was I didn't think it was any worse than what it probably could have been. I understand the complaints. I do. I'm not going to sit here and say that the complaints are not genuine. But for the most part, I got my money's worth with that movie. I did. But let's be realistic. How would you do an origin story? How would you do it from the very beginning? Would you even make an origin story? Because I know I've seen some Superman stories. They didn't even have an origin. He was just already there. So, in my opinion, if I had a chance to make a Superman, I'll make it the way this is. Don't force the issue. Let the character go on his journey. Let him decide, and we see what he does. Every now and then, if you want to give him some guidance, that's fine. But let him decide. Let him have that temptation, and let him journey himself and see why sometimes what you think is maybe good may not be good at all. That's how I would have done it. And I think these guys did it well, but that's how I would have done it. And I think they did it just like that. Another thing about this story is that I don't know, I haven't looked at any reviews for this book. Even when I was looking for it, God knows I was looking for it forever. I didn't never look at the reviews. I never look at what it was. I'm kind of curious as to what rating this book has gotten. So far, I haven't seen any praises from too many people. I do know that that Booker Fronter is the only one I think that talked about it. This is what he says. What makes this story works is the narration. Mercer does what he does best, and that's what brings credibility to the incredible situation. The plotting achieved it to some extent, but it's Clark's voice that really drives home the down-to-earth quality of the story. You know what? He's 100% right. Like I said, this is pretty much you're hearing the story from this man's point of view. He's the one that's telling it. Without his narration, this story will not have worked. Because it's one thing, he can do all the dialogue he wants. It's him that is actually you're being guided to. You're looking at his memoirs, and that what makes it very good. And I am very happy that I spend $19 for a book that I really did enjoy and love. Um, I only hope that those who are open-minded to a different take of Superman will take that consideration, be open about it, know that this is not the Superman we've grown up with, but if you give it a shot, it may actually surprise you. Again, I understand if you don't want to. I understand if you don't see Superman the way I have seen it or the way others have seen it. That's fine. Not every Superman story is for everyone, but I would ask at least give it a try the first round up, and you probably will be surprised what you will get out of it, because it is a story worth reading. It is a story worth checking out once. And if you're a Superman fan, check it out one time. You don't have to buy it. I'm pretty sure libraries rent it out from time to time. Give it a shot. I think it's really, really. You will like how they did the story, even though it doesn't have any major villains. Lex Luthor is not going to come here. Kryptonite is never used except for a reference. And speaking of which, I almost forgot. There's a lot of flashbacks towards the old Superman stories. One of them happens to be this one, as you can see here. There's a couple more in the book that actually match well. But again, these references actually helps guide along the book. Like I said, there's sometimes when you do references, it can actually hurt the story because it's sometimes distracting. And this, they use it right. They use it as part of the story to make a point. And the best one is when he's sending a message to the military as well as watchers that, hey, you do know I can come in there anytime and just wreck stuff up, but I don't want to do it. And again, this is pretty much not just a Superman story. It's a Clark Kent story. It is a man who has grown up, who was blessed with power, no matter how he got it, and have used it not only to help people, but has also used it to also protect his family in many ways. It shows his love and devotion as a father, and in the end, you see how he's reflecting out how he's the luckiest man in the world, and how he was blessed to have a life that he's had. Despite all the nonsense that he was dealing with in the military, he's still blessed and he has no regrets. And that, to me, how they did it, how they structured it, is worth a 9 out of 10 in my opinion. This is one of the better graphic novels I've read. And if you guys give it a shot, I guarantee you, if you're open-minded to it, I guarantee you this will not disappoint you. But again, I understand there's a lot of purists out there who will not accept a different person donning the powers. And that's okay too. I mean, hey, look, to each his own, okay? But I would advise you, just give it a shot. Give it a shot one time. Just one time. That's it for now. I will be back with another review shortly. Before I go, Comic Book 360 is going to do a little bit of changes. Editorial is going to be pretty much the main focus, but there will be reviews. I'm going to be doing a little bit newer reviews from time to time. I'm not going to explain what it is. I'm pretty going to mix it up. It's whatever the flavor of the week or the flavor of the month is, or the books is going to be coming there. Superman will still be in the main front because there's a lot of stories that I want to get to with the Superman genre. Needed to say, I have to address the one nagging situation, which I think that it really does bother me, because I think people forgotten that Superman done this in other genres back then. So I want to talk about that, as well as Superman's comic books from the 70s and 80s, and give you a big difference of how that was, and also talk about Superman 4, not only in the flashback review, but there's something that Superman 4 actually did right. I know that sounds crazy, but if you give me a chance to talk about it, you will understand. And that's all at another time. Until then, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'm sorry I had to broke up into 5 parts, but as you notice at the timeline that I'm seeing here, it probably would have been a lot longer than what it needs to be, and it needs to be broken up. But I do hope that you did enjoy it. I do hope that I at least gave some justice to those who actually love this book. The review that it actually that I actually have done. If you don't like the review, I completely understand. Still comment anyway. Give me your factual thoughts about it. What you liked or didn't like about this review. It's important that your feedback means a lot, especially when I'm trying to actually improve the style that I'm doing it. But again, like I said, there's more professionals out there. ComboCast does a great job. There's the Comic Book Geek that does a fantastic job. We got a couple of comic book guys at Manic Expression. They also do a great job. So I'm not the only guy out there doing it. There's probably someone for your taste and liking. But for now, on the budget I have, this is what I got to work with. But until then, guys, I will keep doing it. Hope you guys will keep watching. Until then, J77 saying take care, be safe, and thank you very much.